Good time crew.
Good time crew.
That's you. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to point. I know that's rude.
But you know it's you though.
You know it's you. Right? And you know what you do when you hear that crew call. Yeah. I'm lame. Sorry. Let's get to the video. If you don't know who we are already, check the bottom. I'm Justin. Go by Justin Dorsey TV.
On all your social media
I
platforms.
thought you were gonna say your piece.
And I'm TV Staci, but I was gonna wait for you.
Hey, and today we're watching Tom Segura. I'm sorry.
I swear I knew that was coming.
You
guys know that every time we watch Tom Segura.
I'm sorry. When I think about the last name, I think about some kind of,
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on
here. I don't know. Tom Segura. This
is Overdoses. Huh. This is not happening.
Oh my gosh. What are we?
Has he overdosed before?
We're about to find out.
Let's go back to 1997. Holy shit. And fuck, that time flies. And I'm a freshman in college. And Thanksgiving, remember Thanksgiving, everybody? That's the first time that you go, usually back home. That's your first break in your freshman year. And it's a big deal because it's also like a mini class reunion, right? It's the first time you see everybody that you used to go to school with every day. You're back your first few months and everybody's recapping. And the big thing is the next day, the day after Thanksgiving, everybody gets together and parties their fucking balls off while acting like they're a new person, right? So I start off, I find one of the guys that didn't go to school, and he's like, I'm the new drug supplier. And I'm like, I remember you from math. And he asked me what I want, and I'm like, what do you got? And he goes, I have ecstasy. And I go, yeah. Everyone says, that's fun, let's try it. And I start taking it, and I forgot to mention, before I went to college, senior year, I got really into a drug that was making its way, especially through the South, through Florida, called GHB. And I'm sure, I don't know if you know what it is. It's a gamma hydroxybutyric acid. Your body naturally produces it. Sometimes there's some places where they regulate it as an anesthetic, but basically when you get it, somebody made it in a bathtub. And that's the good stuff, all right? And they sell it to you, and they get it in a water bottle. They also call it the date rape drug. No, I didn't do that. I gave it to myself all the time. And it does have an amazing effect on sex. On masturbating, let's be honest. On masturbating. I really had some crazy masturbation seminars as a senior, and then I passed out, and I'm like, who jerked me off? Oh yeah, it was me. Okay. So,
he's looking like I'm serious.
Anyways, okay, so I get the ecstasy into my system, and then I take it. I'd never taken it, so as soon as I take it, I go like, hey man, fucking, I don't feel anything. He's like, you just took it, man. Like, give it a minute, all right? All right. So I'm hanging out at this party. We're at a party, everyone's together, and then we're gonna go to a bar. And at the end of the house party, on the way to the bar, I go, hey man, I don't feel anything. So he goes, all right, when we get to the bar, come find me, and I have GHB. So I'm like, okay. So I find him, and he's like, all right, let's go to the car. And that's always the big move when you go to the car, right? You're like, this is where dreams come true in the car. A drug dealer's car is where it all lives. So I'm expecting what I know, which is a water bottle, and then a dose is the cap. So all you do is you pour the water into the cap and you drink it like that. It tastes like ocean water, like seawater, right? Salt water. And then it's immediate. GHB, if it's good stuff, it's like, we used to call it permagrin, because you just be like, and if someone's like, fuck you, you're like, So I'm like, all right, where is it? And he goes, it's right there. And he has a gallon jug, right? And I'm like, wow, that's not a water bottle? He's like, yeah, I haven't even put it into the water bottles yet. That's the full thing. And it's a full gallon. Now, if you think about a full gallon, you know that the cap is much different. It's flatter. You're not going to sample. And it's also heavier. So I don't know how to pour it. So he's like, just take a shot. And I'm like, all right. So I put it up, and then I go, in my mind, oh shit, I have like 9 shots in my mouth right now. So the options are, do I spit it back into the main jug, which I feel like he's gonna be like, not cool with that, you know, being that he's a drug dealer and all. The other thing would be spit it out on the ground, and I don't want to be rude, right? So I just go like, and I'm like, holy fucking shit. I have taken way too much GHB. Now, I'm leaving out the point that you're not supposed to mix GHB and alcohol. It is potentially fatal. You may have known this if you didn't. It can be. At this point, I am on 13 or 14 drinks, right? Like, and it's liquor, like, you know, vodka drinks, and I'm just pounding them. I get the 9 shots into me, and then I walk back into the bar, and I'm like, what's up, everybody? Like, I'm fucking... They're like, where does all this personality come from? This is natural, man. So, and then I sat down. I remember sitting down, and the girlfriend came, and she sat on my lap, and then lights out. Like, I just don't remember anything. Like, I went to sleep. All I remember is that I wake up, and I'm looking at lights on a ceiling, right? I'm just like, oh, shit. Is this heaven? And then I see a woman come into frame, right? Because I'm laying on my back. I can't talk. I can't move my arms. And this woman goes, hey, Tom, you are in the emergency room, and you overdosed on drugs, and now you're coming out of a coma. And I'm just like, like processing it. But the process literally was just eyes closed, like, oh, shit. And my only thought was like, I hope nobody knows. That's the only thing I'm thinking. I hope nobody knows. And then I open my eyes again, and my parents come into frame. And then I'm like, everybody knows. And they look so just like, we thought you were a good kid. What the fuck? So I'd never been in trouble. They won't let your arm out because I pull out the tubes. I have a tube for breathing. I have another tube that's pumping liquid charcoal into my stomach because that makes the chemicals and the drugs like come together, and then you also can't digest it, so you vomit, which is what they want you to do. So as I'm like, I'm also like, and throwing up, right? So they give me a piece of paper and a pen that I can't really write normally because I'm strapped down, but I can kind of chicken scratch. And they're like, what did you take? Because they're trying to figure, they don't even know what I took. So I write, heroin. And they go, are you serious? And I write, JK. Right? They're not like, good one. They're like, what the fuck, are you joking? So, then the kid in me, I'm looking at my parents and I'm like so worried about them. I write on the paper, I go, are you mad at me? And my parents, at that moment, my dad reads it and he goes, no, buddy, just disappointed. And I'm like, can you save that for when I'm breathing on my own? Like, so I'm in that emergency, I get moved to critical, then ICU. In the ICU, a doctor comes in who I hadn't seen yet. And I'm later told, this is a doctor. They tell me this is a doctor that saved your life. So I'm sitting there in the bed, and he comes in, and he goes, are you in a band? And I was like, what, man? What? And he goes, are you in a band? And I was like, no, I'm not in a fucking band. And he goes, well, you had enough in you to take down 2 drum players and a bass player, man. And I'm like, you now with the fucking jokes, really? And I go, well, he goes, what did you take? And I go, I had, I don't know, I took a couple pills. I told him honestly, I had some drinks. And I took, you know, some GHB, probably enough for like a lot of people. And he goes, what about the heroin? And I go, no, I was just joking. And he goes, no, you have heroin in your system. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, you have heroin, you have cocaine, you have PCP. He's like, you also have the same chemicals that are in like cleaners, like some of the super duty cleaners. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? And he goes, where'd you get your GHB from? And I go, one of my buddies from high school. He's like, oh, he's a good friend. He gave you some fucking WD-40 to put in your system. So I eventually get to breathe on my own and all this shit. And then he comes back, and they're like, the nurse tells me the doctor that saved you wants to talk to you. And I'm like, all right. And I asked him, like, how did I survive? And he was like, honestly, because you're fat. Like, you're pretty fat. And I was like, what, man? And he goes, I mean, a smaller person would definitely, like a 120-pound person would die halfway through this. This is just one of the only times where it's good to be fat, right now. And that's why I still haven't lost the weight, you guys.
I promise you, I did not expect him to say that.
I did not think he was good. We're sorry.
Of all the things he could have said.
We're sorry.
Oh, man. Oh, my
I
gosh.
can't breathe.
Okay.
I mean, honestly.
He said it was like just as straight as honestly.
And then he said, that's why I haven't lost the weight yet.
Oh.
I'm like, so do you plan on overdosing again?
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Wow.
Oh.
Tom Segura, thank you for this.
Oh.
We needed that laugh.
You know what's funny? Every time Tom Segura, every time he tells a joke, he has such a straight face.
I think that's what makes it funnier.
Like, he ain't joking at all. Like, he's telling you it's
most
funny.
of his jokes are not, like, jokes.
Yeah, you know how, like, other comedians, like, they'll be chuckling in between their joke?
Yeah.
He's not laughing because he's not
Yeah.
He's dead
like,
serious.
this is my life.
He's like, this is really what happened.
I'm glad you guys can laugh at my life.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I'm glad we're laughing at you. I was dying. And only live because you're fat. Oh, man.
He was like, you had some heroin. Really?
Oh, man.
It's like, man.
Okay.
Okay.
So what have we learned here today? Don't take drugs. Don't take drugs from mysterious strangers. Don't take drugs from the guy from high school who never left the hometown and he's selling drugs. Just don't take drugs, period. How about that, kids? Don't take drugs.
Yeah.
All right?
Don't do drugs.
Let Uncle Justin tell you the best. Don't do it. I never did it. And look at me now.
Look at him now.
Look at me now.
Successful.
Kinda.
This is
Sort of.
success.
Is this success?
This is success.
The humblest abode says otherwise.
The humblest abode don't mean nothing.
The humblest
your
abode
success.
says otherwise.
The humblest abode means you're being modest in your success.
Anyway, good time, crew. I'm sorry for my outburst. I could not stop laughing. I could not
My
catch
stomach still hurts.
I could not catch a breath.
You know what though? This is why we like this guy.
This is why we like Tom Segura. Okay, so
Good
good time, crew. Do you have any stories that you want to tell us in the comments?
Yes.
Feel free to let this be your journal.
Yes, let this be your journal, and let's all talk and laugh together and have a great time.
And our question of the day will be, what after high school did happen? I don't know.
What's your most relatable story to this?
Yeah, I want to say, what do you have? What do you have against this? I don't have anything because I don't
either.
I never did any of that stuff. But
No.
yeah.
I only heard about that GHB thing when I did a story with the police officers,
I've
and they were like,
never
"Yeah, the
heard of
high
that.
school kids are doing it." I was like, "Okay."
I've never heard of that. I am so I think I've been so sheltered I have not even seen half of these drugs.
Yeah, I don't even know what it looks
They're
like.
that's this. Yeah, I did a story with the police too, and they had like a basket of all the stuff.
Yeah, that's the only reason I found out.
And they were
about
like,
it.
"This is crack. This is cocaine. This is." I'm like,
yeah, that one story where they were in there making this. They were recreating the drugs.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, they had a like little bag, and I'm like, dang, that's what people buy, like that little bag, like the bag like this big.
and that's what makes them go crazy.
I'm like, man, I
Anyway.
can't even. But anyway, good time, girl. We gotta go. We gotta get out of here. Thanks for checking this out with us, and don't forget to like this video, leave us a comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.